Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to this video, guys. My name is Liaquat Zaman and I hope all of you guys are having a wonderful day. And I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the series and how I can improve the future episodes of this series, inshallah. And without any ado, let's start with today's lesson. So, وَفُتِحَتِ السَّمَاءُ فَكَانَتْ أَبْوَابًا وَسُيِّرَتِ الْجِبَالُ فَكَانَتْ سَرَابًا. So, the translation of this roughly is وَفُتِحَتْ السَّمَاء, and the sky was opened, فَكَانَتْ, so it was أبوابًا, doors, وَسُيِّرَتْ الْجِبَالُ, and the mountains were moved or made to move, فَكَانَتْ, and so they were سَرَابًا, a mirage. So here we have a wow, and wow comes for wasal. As we've discussed before, wasal is kind of like joining two things together, so it's like Lego pieces bringing things together. So we've got the wow there. We've got also so it's on both sides. You've got the wow wasal, right? So we've also got the futihat here. And maybe one of the exercises you guys can try yourself is to pause it and have a go at the kind of devices of Balagha, identifying them. Or if you don't know Balagha, it doesn't really matter. Just try to think, like, these kind of verses, what do these verses mean to you? What kind of things can you see in these verses? What kind of words, what patterns can you find in these words? And just list them. Maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. Doesn't matter. You know, at the end of this, inshallah, you can correct yourself. So you have a futihat, which comes for past, right? So you got past there. Suyirat, which comes for past as well. Past single feminine. And that's the other thing as well. Passive, right? Futihat is passive. Futihat was opened. And suyirat is passive as well. So you can see this pattern of both on both sides. Passive being used, suyirat means it was made to move, right? So futihat and suyirat. So futihat is also feminine. Suyirat is also feminine. So you've got a lot of kind of mirroring going on here. Symmetry. There's a lot of symmetry between these two verses. So both of them are feminine, past, passive. You got the wow wasal there as well. Only difference I'd say is futihat. The sound of that is less. Futihat, whereas suyirat, yeah, there's like more syllables there. You can say more sounds. Futihat, suyirat, suyirat, right? So the sound is slightly different there. You can notice it. Anyway, but the main question that comes to your mind, or should be, is who is doing this? Like, who is opening it? The sky is being opened asunder, it's being opened up, and the mountains are being made to move, but who is doing it actually? So this is the kind of question that comes to your mind. It brings intrigue into the mind, curiosity. Who is doing this? If the sky is such a massive, body, is actually opening up, and then imagine the being that's opening up the sky, how great that being must be, how great that power must be. And likewise the mountains, Mount Everest, all these mountains that we have, if they are being made to move, and when we say suyira, imagine a mountain that's fixed in its position, and that's being actually made to move, made like into dust particles. It's being shifted, moving, and you can actually see it moving. So who is actually doing this? What kind of power must there be? Okay, anyway, so as-sama, it's definite. It's got a ta'rif, alif lam there. Al-sama, which means the sky. Al-jibal, the mountains. So again, it brings this meaning as well. So we've got futihat as-sama, right? We've got suyirat al-jibal. You got kanat is repeated. So this is the only kind of word apart from the wow, which is exactly repeated verbatim, right? So kanat there, fakanat there, fakanat there, fakanat. So it's a repetition there, like a kind of repeating sound that goes into your mind. Futihat as-sama fakanat, suyirat al-jibal fakanat. Okay, so this repetition, it plays a role here. So I want you to think about what kind of role is being achieved here. What kind of purpose is being achieved here by repetition? Is the repetition there to repeat something again so that it kind of sticks in your head? Is it there to make you ponder more? Is it there because it's kind of fitting the pattern? Or maybe all of them? Anyway, and then we have the next word, which is jibal. So jibal is a plural, but sama is actually singular. So here, deliberately, there's a change, a shift. Sama, singular, sky. There's only one sky, as in above us. Sky is not like broken into pieces, it's one. Whereas mountains are actually multiple. So there's a change there, shift. You can call this like a contrast. Tibaq, abwab, is plural, sarab is singular. Right? A mirage is one, you have one mirage, so it's not like multiple mirages. A mirage is just on the horizon. When you look at the horizon and you see like on a hot day, on top of your car, on top of the road, it's like kind of shimmering. It seems as though everything in the horizon is melting away. Yeah, and that's basically the mirage, the sarab. So you got abwab plural, sarab. So you see that kind of shift there. Sama single, jibal plural. Abwab plural, sarab single. It's shifting, it's changing. Okay, so you got this change over there as well that's taking place, and this is deliberate. This is, by the way, yeah. This is the speciality of the Quran, how Allah brings different things. Next, abwab is appropriate with futihat. So if I say to you open in your mind, you know what's the first thing that comes to your mind if I say open? You say door, right? So doors fits in. It's appropriate with munasib with that, and the sarab is actually munasib with suyira. So movement, something moving in the distance, it fits in mirage. So if you see something in the distance, you're on a big road, straight road, and you see in the distance this kind of shimmering movement taking place, it fits in with the word suyira. Now if you had put saraban, futihat as-sama fakanat saraban, suyirat al-jibal fakanat abwaban, it wouldn't fit in. The sound seems right, but it just doesn't fit in meaning wise. And that's, you know, one of the ways that you can test how different words won't fit in other places. Anyway, so we've got this now. Right, next, we've also got this issue of the strangeness. Do you feel this strangeness? Yeah, I feel the strangeness, I do. Put in the comments of what strange feeling you get from this kind of verse. The sky was opened and it became or was abwaban, was doors. What's strange, what's eerie about that? If it was a movie, right, what kind of background music would they have for this, and what kind of camera shots would they have for this to show this happening? And suyiratil jibalu fakanat saraban, right, the same thing over here. What kind of background music, what kind of camera, you know, trickery would take place to kind of achieve this? And this has been achieved by the language. Now this kind of strangeness is very important as well, because the whole surah is a very kind of strange and kind of eerie, you know, kind of atmosphere to the surah as well. Naba al-azim, something, a great news. And so here you have this sky opening up and becoming doors, and the mountains, you know, moving. What kind of power, you know, what kind of atomic power must you have, you know, whatever power it is, that is causing the mountains to actually move on earth, yeah, shifting, moving violently. And it just sounds just so kind of like peaceful that they're just going to become like a mirage. But we know that if the mountains move, imagine the sounds, imagine the kind of the terrifying image, that's going to, scenery, the scenario, villages being destroyed, cities crumbling with the mountains, the earth shaking. But it doesn't, the ayah doesn't say that. It just shows this kind of strangeness, peaceful, doors opening in the sky. Okay, so that's the kind of strangeness, right, you get from this. All right, what else do we get over here? So, right, we get like, okay, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like 4 beats. You get this kind of 4 beats. فتحت السماء فكانت أبوابا سيرت الجبال فكانت سرابا do 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 do. And I was saying to you about the background music in the movies has an effect on things. So subhanallah, look at how this effect is being created by the repetition of words and the sound. If you try to change these words and you try to put some other words there, right, you know, it wouldn't have وَشُقَّتِ السَّمَاءُ, it wouldn't have that same effect, it wouldn't have the same flow. Do you know what I'm saying? Right? And try to use other words, synonyms in Arabic, to replace them in this sentence and see if it has the same effect. And it won't. I guarantee you won't have the same effect. Okay, so you have this repetition which is called you know, a mutabaqa, of the number on each side, symmetry on each side. Now imagine this. Okay, so let me just draw this. Imagine this is the sky, and then you have mountains over here. Let's put some mountains. Okay, that doesn't show. Let's just use another. All right, so that's better. That's a mountain. So Mount Everest, let's say. This is another mountain. Now imagine this now. Okay, the sky just all of a sudden opening up on top of your head. It's opening up. And what does it mean to open up? Like in my head, what I image is like, you know, one of those movies where aliens are coming down, right? And all of a sudden the sky, like wormholes, they're just like opening up, splitting up. Yeah, that's what kind of comes to my mind. And I mean, what comes to your mind? You tell me, because every person is going to have a different image in their mind, I think. So you tell me, put in the comments, tell me what kind of an image do you see, or can you like relate this to anything that you've seen, maybe in a movie or something, where the sky just like opens up. And maybe if you kind of know if in physics, if the sky was if there was like a sun flare or something, and it destroyed the entire atmosphere above us, what would happen to the sky? What would it look like? And then you have the mountains. Imagine the mountains like shaking, like wobbling. You could see the mountains actually movement taking place. Tasir, suyirat. Okay, now according to the Arabic mufassirin, they've actually said there's two possibilities over here. What can happen? One is, for example, like the skies will actually literally will open up. Yeah, the skies will open up somehow, and it'll just become like doors in the sky. Other is futihat abwabus sama, that the doors of the sky will open up. So the doors of the sky, what are they? We don't know what the doors of the sky exactly are. Do they represent some sort of like portals that are going to open up? Does the sky have these passive doors that we can't see, hidden doors, and it's just like they're going to be unlocked for the first time, and we're going to see it all happening, right? Is that how it works? So it's a very kind of, subhanallah, strange. This is called hadaf, removal. A word's been removed here. Futihat abwabus sama. Very strange, very eerie, like we said. Now over here they say there's tashbih baligh taking place over here. Tashbih, like a resemblance. So it's like saying that the sky will be opened up. The sky was opened up. Fakanat, and it was like abwab. So the like over here, kaf tashbih, it's been removed. And in Balagha we know, if you resemble two things together, if you compare two things together and you remove the adatu tashbih, then you call this tashbih baligh. Like if I say Zayd is like a lion, more powerful than this is Zayd is a lion. If you say Zayd is a lion, that's actually more powerful, that is. Yeah, because it has more of like a kind of connection. Yeah, more like what's the word? I can't think of the word. But it's more kind of stuck together, you can say. Yeah, there's no kind of like difference between the two. I don't know, am I making sense or not to you guys? This is what happens to me, guys. Yeah, when I start reading this kind of stuff and I can't express myself in what I feel in these verses, this is what happens. So you guys need to help me out, man, in the comments. Put in the comments. Yeah. Anyway, so we have over here that taking place. Anyway, let's list what kind of balagha points we can see over here now. So number one, you have past. Okay, so past in the future. Yeah, so past being mentioned, but future. Now this is important, okay, because the translation is saying the sky was opened, but we know the sky has not been opened. The sky is still there. So what does Allah mean? So in Balagha, in Arabic rhetoric, what we have is sometimes the past is mentioned to show what we call tahqiq, that as though it will happen. Like it is so sure, it is so certain that it's going to happen, that Allah or the Arabs, they use past. Like, sometimes we say to someone, can you get my my work done? And the person says to you, it's done. It's done, meaning that think of it as though it's done. Right? Think of it as though it's done. Same thing over here, you can imagine. Futihatis sama. So you can translate it as the sky will be opened up. But it's more powerful when you say the sky is opened up. It's as though it's happening in front of you. You can see it happening. Very vivid imagery, powerful imagery. So past meaning future. Definite as well. So you have the ta'rif, the alif lam, as-sama, al-jibal. Number 3, you also have the majhul, the passiveness as well. The power of the passive. Futihat. Who has opened it? Has Allah opened it? Has Allah sent an angel? Has Allah sent an army? Has Allah commanded the ozone layer to tear itself apart? Like, what's happened? Yeah. Number 4, you have, and the same as Suyarat. Number 4 is multiple meanings you have. So multiple meanings is a very powerful way of like in films, basically you have multiple camera shots. So a very similar idea you can imagine happening over here as well. And subhanallah, when I think of these, yeah, it just kind of like hits me like, subhanallah, so much detail, and we're kind of reading the Quran and we go past all of this without appreciating the richness of the Quran. Yeah, imagine like there's a nice beautiful cake that's made, it's so rich and all taste and so much effort, right, in that cake, and you just eat it without even thinking about it. Yeah, and obviously the Quran is not a cake, but I'm just trying to make things a bit easier for people to understand. Muqabala is where you have symmetry on either sides. Yeah, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. Okay, so you have that symmetry there, very powerful in like that kind of ringing sound that is created in your head. Number 6 is gharib. Yeah, so strangeness, like this is a very strange scenario that's happening. We've never seen this happen before, no human. Okay, number 7 is okay, what else is there? Number 7, tasweer. Okay, so you have imagery that's taking place over here. Imagery is very, very powerful when you language. You want to make your language as vivid as possible. You want to kind of illustrate it with words in such a way that it's like it's opening up in front of their eyes when they're reading it. It's like subhanallah, the words. So sometimes people say lyrics or they say some poems, and like the words just kind of like open up in your mind, and you can see like an image, a very high definition image or 4K image. Okay, number 8. Number 8, we have tibaq. So tibaq is like the opposites, right? So you have plural and singular, sky and mountains. Now these are kind of like loose opposites. These are, so opposites are being mentioned, and through opposites it creates a lot of contrast as well. So contrast is extremely important in that case. Number 9, we have takrar, repetition. Yeah, so kanat, 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 kanat. Number 10, we have fawasil. So fawasil, the ending of the verses, abwaba, saraba, and it's very consistent from the beginning of the chapter. You can see it continuing there. All right, next is 11 is and the thing about fawasil, remember, there's a whole like kind of discussion in fawasil. Why the Quran brings certain sounds here? Why doesn't Quran bring like those sounds, like una sounds? Like in some chapters, the verses end with una, una, una. Okay, so why doesn't the Quran bring that over here? So there's a reason for this. Okay, there's a reason for this definitely. So abwaba, saraba. Okay, number 11, emphasis. So there's ta'keed over here. There's a high degree of emphasis being used, past tense being used for present. The al is being used over there as well. Fa is being used as well. So, and there's like the fa is a very interesting point here. I haven't really talked about this, but it's a very kind of powerful way of shortening a long sentence as well. And it kind of it leaves it to your mind to fill in the gaps. Yeah, like fa fasihiyya. Yeah, the fa fasihiyya. So it's like futihatis sama, the sky was opened, and then the question thinks in your mind, then what happened? What happened? Fakanat abwaba. It was doors, meaning there's like a gap in the middle, but it leaves it to your mind to kind of fill in that gap. Number 12 is hadaf, removal of words, like we said, the doors of the sky, according to one look at that verse, one aspect of that verse. Okay, so you have that missing over there, and it's a very powerful tool to have things missing as well. Number 13 is using something which is mahsus, all right, with something that's mahsus. So mahsus bil mahsus means like you want to compare two things, right? So there's different ways of comparing two things. One of the ways is comparing two things, like something that is tangible with something that's tangible, right? If I compare like my pen to a sword, so pen is tangible, sword is tangible. So it's a very kind of nice way of trying to bring two things together which are tangible, something that can be touched, smelt, looked at, observed, right? So that's happening over here as well. The doors, right, with the sky. So this is mahsus bil mahsus, you can say. Okay, and now finally, right, so the surah starts off with Naba, talking about the great news, the powerful, the amazing thing that's going to happen. And then it goes into discussing about the creation of Allah Ta'ala, the things that Allah has done for us, made the mountains and the earth and the sky and the night and etc. Then Allah goes to the day of judgment, inna yawm al-fasli kana miqata, and then Allah goes towards the two ayahs over here, right? The extreme changes that will take place. And this, humans don't like extreme changes. We don't like it. So because we don't like this is going to be shocking for us. And at the same time, remember the sky that was mentioned earlier amongst the creations and the mountains that were mentioned earlier. Interestingly, these two things are brought back again. Like those two things that you thought would never ever change in history. It's always been the same sky above us, and it's always been the same mountains. And generations after generations have witnessed these things unchanging. But all of a sudden now, history has stopped now. This is a sign that history has stopped, and this is a sign of, it's the end of mankind. That the two things that they thought that were the most stable things in society or in their life, in nature, are actually crumbling, right? And that's it basically. So anyway, Jazakumullah khair for watching this video. Thank you very much for bearing with me as well. Thank you very much guys for watching this video. And again, thank you to all my patrons as well for all your support. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah reward you. If you guys want to become a patron, then links in the description below. جزاكم الله خير. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.